Maya stood in the shadow of the old gymnasium, the fading amber light of golden hour doing nothing to warm her trembling hands. She squeezed her eyes shut, tilted her chin up, and waited for the moment she had rehearsed in her head 1,000 times. She expected the gentle scent of lavender and fresh laundry, the signature fragrance of Julian, the student council president she had harbored a secret crush on for 3 agonizing years. But when the footsteps finally stopped in front of her, and she bravely pressed her lips forward to land softly against a surprisingly sharp jawline, the scent wasn't lavender. It was mint, rain, and the unmistakable metallic tang of a leather jacket. Maya's eyes snapped open. She was not looking at the bright, smiling face of Julian. Instead, she was staring directly into the terrifyingly calm, pitch-black eyes of Kaelen Cross. Kaelen, the school's resident delinquent, a boy who supposedly put 3 guys in the hospital last semester and treated the school rules like mere suggestions. And the worst part? Her lips were still awkwardly pressed against his cheek. Maya jumped back so fast she nearly tripped over the tangled roots of the ancient cherry blossom tree behind her. Her heart hammered a frantic rhythm against her ribs, sounding less like a romantic heartbeat and more like a warning siren. Kaelen stood perfectly still. The wind caught the dark, slightly jagged tips of his hair. He didn't look angry. He didn't look horrified. He just looked down at her with an unreadable expression, one thick, perfectly styled eyebrow slowly inching upward. What exactly? Kaelen's voice was a low, resonant baritone that sent a shiver straight down Maya's spine. Are you doing? I thought, Maya stammered, her face burning so hot she felt like she might burst into flames. I thought you were someone else. Kaelen reached up, a long silver-ringed finger tracing the exact spot on his cheek where her lips had been just seconds ago. The corner of his mouth twitched, threatening a smirk. You thought I was someone else, he repeated slowly, letting the absurdity of the statement hang in the cool evening air. You usually just go around kissing people in the dark and hoping for the best? I left a note in his locker. It was supposed to be Julian. The confession tumbled out of her mouth before she could stop it. The sheer embarrassment was suffocating. She wanted the ground to open up and swallow her whole. Kaelen's amusement faded, replaced by a momentary flash of something darker. Julian, he scoffed, the name dripping with disdain. The golden boy. You have terrible taste. Excuse me, Maya bristled, momentarily forgetting she was supposed to be terrified of him. He's perfect, if you say so. Kaelen shoved his hands into the pockets of his jacket, turning away. Next time you decide to ambush someone in the dark, maybe check their face first. Not everyone is as forgiving as I am. With that, he walked away, disappearing into the twilight shadows, leaving Maya alone with her racing heart and the mortifying realization of what she had just done. The next day at school was an exercise in extreme espionage. Maya treated the hallways like a war zone, dodging behind lockers, taking alternate routes to her classes, and spending her entire lunch period barricaded in the furthest, dustiest corner of the library. If she never saw Kaelen Cross again, it would be too soon. But fate, it seemed, had a twisted sense of humor. As the final bell rang and Maya practically sprinted toward the school gates, a heavy hand clamped onto her shoulder. She froze. Running away? She turned slowly. Kaelen was standing there, looking effortlessly intimidating. He was leaning casually against the brick wall of the entrance, one foot propped up, his dark eyes locked onto hers. I am not running, Maya lied, clutching her backpack to her chest like a shield. Right, Kaelen said, his voice dripping with sarcasm. You've just been practicing for the track team all day, avoiding the cafeteria, hiding in the restricted section of the library. Maya's eyes widened. How did you know I was in the library? Kaelen didn't answer. Instead, he reached into his pocket and pulled out a delicate silver hairpin, the one Maya had worn the previous evening. You dropped this while you were fleeing the scene of the crime, he said, holding it out to her. Maya reached for it, her fingers brushing against his. His skin was surprisingly warm. She snatched the pin back quickly, her cheeks flushing. Thank you. Don't mention it. Kaelen leaned closer, lowering his voice. Though, I think you owe me for keeping my mouth shut about your little assault. Assault? Maya squeaked, looking around frantically to see if anyone had heard. It was an accident. Accident or not, my silence comes with a price. Maya groaned inwardly. This was it. He was going to extort her. What do you want? Money? I don't have much. I don't want your money, Kaelen interrupted, rolling his eyes. I need you to do my portion of the history project. I hate writing. Maya stared at him, bewildered. That's it? You're blackmailing me to do your homework? Take it or leave it, Kaelen said, stepping back and offering a lazy salute. See you in the library tomorrow, good girl. For the next 2 weeks, Maya's life became a strange routine. Every afternoon she met Kaelen in the library. At first, she resented it. He would sit across from her, seemingly doing nothing while she furiously scribbled notes. But gradually, the dynamic shifted. She noticed that he wasn't actually slacking off. He was incredibly observant. When she struggled to reach a book on the top shelf, he would silently appear behind her and hand it down before she could even ask. When she forgot her umbrella on a rainy day, he magically produced a spare, tossing it at her without a word before walking into the downpour himself. And then there was the banter. Your handwriting is aggressively neat, Kaelen noted one afternoon, leaning over the table to inspect her notes. It's giving me a headache. At least my handwriting is legible, Maya shot back, not looking up from her book. Yours looks like a spider fell into an inkwell and had a seizure on the paper. Kaelen laughed. It was a genuine deep sound that made the air in the quiet library feel suddenly thick. Maya looked up, momentarily stunned by the way his eyes crinkled at the corners when he smiled. He looked entirely different, not dangerous, just human, and surprisingly handsome. She quickly looked down, her heart doing a strange little flip in her chest. She was supposed to like Julian. Julian was safe, predictable, and smiled at everyone. But recently, Julian hadn't crossed her mind at all. The realization hit her like a physical blow during the preparation for the upcoming school festival. The student council had conscripted a handful of students to help carry supplies from the basement storage room. Maya, to her utter dismay, was paired with Kaelen. The storage room was cramped, dusty, and poorly lit. Maya was trying to pull a heavy box of decorations from a precarious stack when the entire tower began to wobble. Watch out! Kaelen lunged forward. He caught the falling box with one hand, his other arm slamming into the wall right beside Maya's head to shield her from the collapsing pile. A cloud of dust plumed into the air. Maya coughed, waving her hand in front of her face. When the dust settled, she realized exactly how close they were. I am fine, Maya breathed. Kaelen was practically caging her against the wall. His chest rose and fell rapidly with his breathing, and he was looking down at her with an intensity that made the breath catch in her throat. The dim light cast deep shadows across his face, highlighting the sharp lines of his jaw and the depth of his dark eyes. Are you okay? He asked, his voice barely a whisper, completely devoid of his usual sarcasm. I'm fine, Maya breathed. He didn't move away. He stayed there, his gaze dropping to her lips for a fraction of a second before returning to her eyes. The silence between them grew heavy, charged with an unspoken tension that felt like static electricity against her skin. Maya couldn't look away. She didn't want to. You should be more careful, Kaelen murmured, leaning in just an inch closer. I might not always be around to catch things for you. Maybe I want you to be around, she whispered back, the words slipping out of their own accord. Kaelen's eyes widened slightly in surprise, but before he could respond, the heavy metal door of the storage room swung open. Hey, are you guys done in here? It was Julian. Kaelen instantly stepped back, creating a frustratingly cold distance between them. Maya felt a sudden chill where his warmth had been. Julian stood in the doorway, looking impeccably styled in his student council blazer. He glanced between Maya and Kaelen, a slight frown marring his perfect features. We need those decorations upstairs, Maya, Julian said, his tone perfectly polite but undeniably dismissive. He didn't even acknowledge Kaelen. We're bringing them, Kaelen said coldly, lifting the heavy box effortlessly. As they walked upstairs, Julian fell into step beside Maya. I didn't realize you were friends with Cross, Julian said quietly, casting a sideways glance at Kaelen, who was walking a few paces ahead. You should be careful. He's not exactly our kind of people. Maya stopped walking. She looked at Julian, the boy she had idolized for 3 years. In that moment, she didn't see a perfect prince. She saw a boy who judged people by rumors, who dismissed others to elevate himself. Then she looked at Kaelen's back, the delinquent, the boy who caught falling boxes, returned lost hairpins, and laughed at her terrible jokes. Actually, Maya said, her voice clear and steady, he's exactly my kind of people. Julian looked taken aback, but Maya didn't wait for his response. She jogged to catch up with Kaelen. When she fell into step beside him, Kaelen glanced down at her, the corners of his mouth twitching upward into a small, genuine smile. The night of the school festival arrived in an explosion of color and sound. Fireworks illuminated the night sky, casting vibrant hues over the courtyard. Maya stood near the edge of the festival grounds, away from the loud music and the crushing crowds. She had spent the entire evening looking for Kaelen, but he was nowhere to be found. Just as she was about to give up and head home, a shadow detached itself from the trees. Kaelen stepped into the light of the paper lanterns. He was wearing his usual black leather jacket, but he held something in his hand, a single perfectly spun cloud of pink cotton candy. "You look like you're lost," Kaelen said, holding the cotton candy out to her. Maya smiled, taking it from him. "I was looking for you." "Were you?" Kaelen took a step closer, the teasing tone leaving his voice. The boom of a firework echoed overhead, bathing them in a shower of golden light. "Julian asked me to watch the fireworks with him," Maya confessed softly. Kaelen's jaw tightened. "And what did you say?" "I told him I already had plans." Maya looked up into Kaelen's dark eyes, laying all her cards on the table. "With someone who hates writing history papers and complains about my handwriting." Kaelen exhaled a breath he seemed to have been holding. He closed the remaining distance between them, reaching out to gently tuck a stray lock of hair behind her ear. His touch was feather light, sending a cascade of sparks down her spine that rivaled the fireworks above. "You know," Kaelen whispered, his thumb brushing lightly against her cheek, right where she had accidentally kissed him weeks ago. "If you wanted to kiss me, you didn't have to wait in the dark and pretend I was someone else." Maya's heart hammered a frantic, joyous rhythm. "Who said I want to kiss you?" she teased, her voice breathy. Kaelen smiled, a slow, devastating expression that completely shattered his tough exterior. "I'm hoping it's you." He didn't wait for an answer. He tilted her chin up, leaning down. Maya squeezed her eyes shut, and this time, when their lips met, there was no surprise, no shock, and no accident. It was deliberate, warm, and entirely perfect. The taste of mint and rain washed over her, grounding her in the moment. Maya stood in the shadow of the old gymnasium, the colorful light of the fireworks doing everything to warm her, and when she opened her eyes, she was looking at exactly who she wanted to see.